For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shay, and this is my art channel, Trinity Vision Art. And today I kind of just wanted to talk about what it means to have trust in yourself as an artist, but also to build trust in yourself as an artist, and kind of how that has been something, that has been a continual work in progress. Like, as for any artist, that's something that you just kind of you build on in your career as an artist. So kind of the things I wanted to touch on in the video is to trust your own capabilities and your own identity as an artist as well, because sometimes those things can fall under a lot of like self-criticism and self-doubt, and it can really like undercut your ability to make art or even like enjoy the process as well. Another one that I wanted to touch on is if you are feeling like, and this is for people who would like to be like a full-time artist, and if that's something that is like your vocation and you know that that is meant for you in this life, and if it's calling you over and over again, then to trust that there's a reason behind that and that that's something that you're meant to do. And then also trusting that there will be people out there who will resonate with your art and potentially would like to buy it, or at least show love and support and encouragement towards it as well. And then also trusting that you will find confidence in yourself and your own voice as an artist, which, as you cannot tell, I am currently in the process of that. So I feel like this would be kind of a cool video for myself to look back on and see sort of like my beginnings of doing that and like finding my own confidence and voice. It's definitely something to get used to, especially since this is like, I have other YouTube videos, but I feel like this one is more me really taking it seriously. So maybe some of you are on the same journey and we can go through that together. So that's the kind of things I want to talk about in this video. And I'm actually going to be working on this lovely piece of artwork that I just finished behind me, and it's actually titled Trust, and it was kind of the inspiration for this video. And I think for me, it really represents this concept of surrendering to not only the process of the artwork itself, but to the whole journey of being an artist. And then also, like, I feel like it just represents the act of surrender towards anything in your life, like any obstacle that you come upon, whether it's internal or external, finding ways to surrender, especially like control, surrendering the control and the attachment to like this outcome. But yeah, it's kind of represents, because it has like the lotus flower, and obviously like a girl just sort of kind of like the whole pose of like a pose of surrender, really, like just kind of this opening, closing your eyes, trusting, kind of like a leap of faith, and just sort of like the lotus flower symbolizing growing through the mud and trusting the blooming process. Anyway, so I'm gonna play some of the video over top of this audio. And I didn't really script this video either, just kind of like wrote a few talking points and just kind of wanted to ramble on those points. So anyway, here is me working on the artwork, and I will play that while I talk to you. So, on the topic of trusting your capabilities and your sort of artist identity, a big thing that I am, just recently discovering and also trying to put into practice for myself is the sort of mental this mental game of sort of separating my sense of worth with the creative output. And it's really, really easy for me to get kind of caught up in, especially when I'm on social media. And I know that a lot of people can draw inspiration from other people on social media, particularly on Instagram. But it's just not something that I've discovered within myself that's helpful. I find I really tend to compare myself a lot with the other artists on there. And that could just be something that I experience and like other people get inspiration, but I know there's probably other people out there who can relate to that. So separating my sense of self-worth, especially with the output of other people, like if someone is like super prolific in their artwork, it's really hard not to feel like, oh, like why do I not do that? So trying to really focus on my own strengths as an artist and like learning how to uplift myself and like taking that social media break if I need to, if I find that I'm sort of being way too critical on myself. Usually it's reflected in the amount of social media I use. And then also just even when you're creating things, like if your output, like if you create a piece and you're not like super proud of it, it's not a reflection of your worth. And I feel like making that distinction has been really helpful for me. And like I'm sure as I continue to solidify that in my mental space, it will just continue to support me as an artist in just creating and letting things go, you know, like if something wasn't perfect, just letting it roll off my back, because it is something that I've struggled with like in the past, just wanting everything to be so perfect. And yeah, I feel like it was a downfall, and it definitely undercutted the amount of things that I was able to make. And so yeah, it's been really nice now just trying to make that conscious effort of, you know, okay, I made something, and finding things to be proud of it and sharing it with the world regardless. I feel like that was a huge roadblock as well. Just making something and then not sharing it because you're afraid of, you know, what the world is going to say or what is not going to happen. Like it's not going to get the praise you think it's going to get. But to just kind of share it anyway, especially if it's something that's like really calling to you, is like putting yourself out there and developing this sort of confidence in your creative voice and your creative expression. It's important to just do it. And this is like kind of something that I'm doing for myself right now. And yeah, I encourage you to do it because it's definitely, you know, it's not always easy, but it's definitely rewarding, and it definitely helps to build that trust for sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm still in the beginning stages of my journey of becoming more comfortable with the visibility aspect of being an artist. But I'm proud of myself regardless of the stage that I'm at with it, because I'm doing it, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Okay, on to the next. Allowing yourself to make mistakes. It's inevitable. It's a process. You have to be able to, you know, allow and accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes as an artist. This might be, you know, old news for some of y'all, but it's definitely something I'm still working on. I've definitely gotten a lot better at it, but flowing with the imperfections and kind of rolling with the punches of the mistakes that you're going to make, especially as you experiment and grow beyond your comfort zone, learning different techniques, playing with different mediums, reminding yourself that it's supposed to be just like this enjoyable thing. And if it's not, you know, sometimes you need to take a little break or play with something different, or even just like try to reframe that mistake and see how it maybe served the piece in a certain way or served you in your kind of evolution as an artist to just get comfortable with that, because perfection and comparison is really just, it stifles the joy and the energy, and the ability to get into that flow state, which is probably the most enjoyable part about being an artist, for sure. And kind of like having to remind myself as well that perfection is not the most important thing. It's definitely not at all. And reminding myself that what really matters is my unique experience and my unique perspective as an artist, especially as we kind of go into this, digital sort of new AI age where things can be created really quickly and easily and perfectly. But I think we're all starting to really understand that that is not what matters. What matters is the person behind it, the labor of love that went into it, and really the unique lens through which the artist sees life and how they express and translate that. And I think that is what's really valuable, and it's what we really need right now. And I think, facing the discomfort of the inevitable mistakes, mess ups, and the sort of discomfort that you feel when you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, it really is a benefit. And to not do that is a disservice to yourself as an artist. But yeah, anyway, we're going to go on to the next point. So that was having trust in your capabilities and your artist identity. So I guess, okay, I'll recap. It won't really be a recap because this is just free flowing. I'm just going to add a couple things. The capabilities, trusting your capabilities. Yeah, maybe you don't have the best capabilities right now. Maybe you do. But it is definitely a journey, and you'll continue to build on them. You'll continue to grow, and you'll continue to find new things and new ways to make art that make you happy, and allowing yourself to value that over the fact that you have like extreme technical prowess. I feel like it's great to try to achieve mastery and want to do that. But I think the true mastery comes from being at peace with the process, and that will develop over time, and it does get easier. And it's definitely not by no means like super easy for me right now, but it's, I gotta give my credit where it's due, because I do work on it. And if you're out there working on it too, then give yourself a pat on the back, because it's not always easy. And if you're making the strides, then you deserve to congratulate yourself. So yeah, and then also the artist identity. If there is doubt on if that arises in you and you feel like, oh, maybe, I'm not cut out to be an artist, or maybe you just have like kind of like doubts about your identity as a whole, and maybe being an artist is the only thing that you really do resonate with, and self-doubt just kind of wants to knock on your door all the time about who you are and what you want to be and what you want to do. Just if your heart is calling out to you to do art and make art and to be a creative person, which I think we all are at some level. I think we are all creative beings at some level, 100%. So if whatever it is that you do creatively, that's part of you, and allow that to be there. I think the self-doubt, definitely, there's definitely ways to mitigate that. Maybe I'll make another video on like self-doubt, because this one's more about trust, which I guess they're kind of related. So if you don't trust yourself, then you probably doubt yourself. And I think we have sort of both of those things inside of us, for sure. But anyway, that's capabilities and artist identity. If you want to be an artist, just know that if you're taking baby steps, you're going to get there. And that your art is calling you for a reason. That's my next point. There is a reason why you want to make art. Maybe you have a passion for something in particular that you want to express through that art, or maybe it's just the act of creating itself brings you a whole ton of joy. And that's reason enough, I think. And to follow that is really a way that you can honor yourself, and that a way that you honor yourself through your art is it's so satisfying and gratifying, and it really does help you grow as a person and sort of solidify that confidence in yourself. Yeah. If and I guess for the case for me is, for the longest time, ever since I was so young, I always knew I want to be an artist. But there's these, and it's sort of like this like culture narrative where it's like starving artist, you're not going to make a lot of money. It's going to be hard. And I'm not doubting the fact that it does have its challenges and difficulties for sure. But you can definitely be successful. And I think getting over that sort of illusion of the fact that it's not gonna work out or something, if you put your effort into it, it's like likely if you're working a full-time job, you're putting effort towards somebody else's dream. And that's kind of how I've felt for a long time, because I've worked full-time doing other things other than art for, ever since I could work. Obviously not in high school, but so I feel like for me, framing that in that way is like I'm already putting effort and energy into something that isn't exactly aligned with what I want and where I want to go and who I want to be. So, it's a lot easier to have somebody else tell you what to do and give you the timeline of like when you should work, and they hand you the money. Whereas with an artist, like you have to create and pave your own way with that and create ways to make money from your art. And I think that, it's definitely not the easy route. I feel like it is a bit easier to, accept the paycheck. But is it easier internally? No. Especially if it's something that is really calling to you. Now, if you are somebody who really loves to do art and it's more of a side thing and that makes you really happy, that's fantastic. And you're really passionate about your day job, that's wonderful. But for those of you who really want to like make it your full-time thing, I think it's really worth it to do that. And it's calling you for a reason. Anyway, back to like what I was talking about with myself. And I feel like personally I've kind of had like this like sort of shiny object syndrome in terms of being an artist. It's like I know in my heart that I want to do that, but it's daunting and scary and vulnerable, and that's the story that I've had for that. And so you kind of just allow other things to come in rather than like really choosing what it is you want to do. And I don't know if any of you can relate to this. But yeah, it's kind of like taken me a few, goes at it and having to like really choose over and over again what it is my heart really wants to do. And that is obviously art full time. And I feel like maybe it can be daunting having so many different like possibilities and ways to approach it. That can really derail possibly. But anyway, so it's called me enough to the point where, you got to pick up the phone and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to do this because, it's called you for long enough, and you don't want to put it off any longer. And that's kind of the position that I'm in. Trusting that your art is calling you for a reason. Another thing that I just kind of recently sort of realized is like, there are people out there who really do want to buy your art. And that has always been kind of shocking to me, is because personally, I'm not really an art collector. I like to make art. And I love art. I love to look at art and go to museums and things like that. But maybe it's because I don't have a whole lot of money. Could be the fact that I don't collect art. But I feel like it's not something that I've always been super, not something that I've always understood, like that there's people out there who do. But until recently, like I actually started selling my work back in October, and there's people who buy it, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So yeah, making that leap and really making things available for purchase and letting people know, you would be surprised. People will buy your art, and there's definitely a community out there who will resonate with what you have to offer. And I think it brings people value, and it allows you to keep creating, and it reinvigorates you and motivates you to have the confidence in yourself to just keep going. So that's something that I realized. Actually, my boyfriend showed me this video of this guy just going out and collecting art and talking about it, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. There really are people out there who will buy high ticket items or pieces, and yeah, it kind of opened my mind a little bit to that world. And I think that's really important, because if your mind is kind of closed down to that, you're not going to make those leaps and bounds, or even kind of put yourself out there and open yourself up to that possibility. So it's kind of like a confirmation bias in that sense. So yeah, people are out there who like your stuff. You just got to put it out there first. And my last talking point is that trust that you will have. Oh my gosh, let's try that again. My next talking point is to trust that you will find confidence, and you will find confidence in your voice as an artist. Your unique self will continue to show itself, and the more that you work at it, and the more that you create art and express yourself and use your voice as an artist to speak, and allow that to translate and come through your work, and allow your passion to really show, it adds up. It adds up over time. And yeah, it may not be easy at first or along the way, but it's super worth it. And you owe it to yourself, I think, to try. And, to not let your dreams just be dreams, especially if they mean more to you, as a reality. If you want to make that your reality, and if it's something that you think about all the time, you owe it to yourself to try to make that work. But yeah, anyway, those are my thoughts on trusting yourself as an artist, and yeah, just kind of surrendering to the flow of enjoying the process, and sort of the process of becoming more fully yourself, more confident in yourself. And yeah, anyway, we'll catch you in the next one. I hope you enjoy your day, and if you like this video, maybe you can subscribe and comment. Let me know what you think. Do you relate? And I'm sure there's probably somebody out there who does. So yeah, like it, subscribe, share. Thanks. Check you later.